Joseph Campbell's hero myth is a staple of film and literary discussion. However, we don't often apply it to theater, but knowledge of the structure is crucial for any writer. So today we're going to take a look at the 17 steps and apply it to a show you might be familiar with, especially if you read the title to this video. Welcome to Derek Writes Plays, the channel for theater kids of all ages and the people who tolerate them. I am the titular Derek, and let this video be the start of your journey to hit the like and subscribe buttons. Now, Joseph Campbell came up with the idea of the hero's journey, or monomyth, in 1941 after studying stories from all across the world, different cultures having different origins and hero myths and fables. And what he noticed was that there's a certain structure that they all seem to follow, that there seemed to be something universal that all people sort of related to this particular journey that their cultural hero went on. So he wrote a book called The Hero with 1,000 Faces, and the theory really started to take off in the 70s as movie blockbusters started to take his teachings and apply them to their scripting process. So Campbell's journey has 17 steps going from the known to the unknown and back again, and then other writers have taken that and condensed it down to like 8 steps, 12 steps, removing some, changing some things around, updating things to make them more modern, but it all started with these 17 steps that we're going to look at today. And to illustrate these 17 steps and show that they are indeed relevant in theater as well as in literature, we're going to apply them to Lin-Manuel Miranda's version of Alexander Hamilton's hero journey. Okay, the first step in the hero's journey is the call to adventure. This is when the hero is roused from their ordinary world and given a reason, an inciting incident to go forward and into the rest of the story. Every character needs to have an objective and a place to go, and so the call to adventure is where they get their objective. His objective is to make something of himself and create a legacy, and the best way for him to do that is to be in New York City.
You can't be serious.
You wanna get ahead?
Yes.
The second step is the refusal of the call. That's where a hero is reticent to take that first step forward or to do something that is asked of them. Here, that would be when Aaron Burr tells Hamilton a simpler way to get what he needs, and Hamilton responds very negatively to that suggestion.
We are a powder keg about to explode. I need someone like you to lighten the load. So?
The third step is called supernatural aid, or the arrival of the mentor. And here we're going to skip ahead to Right Hand Man, where we meet George Washington. George Washington provides the supernatural mentorship in this show, serving as sort of a voice of reason and inspiration, and setting off Hamilton on a path to his eventual future. Now, the fourth step in Campbell's hero journey is crossing the threshold. This is where the hero finally takes their step out of their known world into the unknown. And here we're going to call that scene Helpless, where Hamilton's marrying into high society. This is his first real step into what he wants, this idea of being a member of the elite. So crossing that threshold happens when he meets Eliza and marries into the Schuyler family.
Hush back. We have resorted to eating our horses.
Now, once the hero enters into the new world, they are in what Campbell calls the belly of the whale. This is where they are starting their struggle. They have jumped in with 2 feet, and now they are trying to find out how the rules work, how this new how everything operates here, and often this is where we start to meet our next set of obstacles. And in this case, we're going to call that the stay alive sequence, because the obstacle is trying to survive through the Revolutionary War.
That's an order from your commander. Go home.
Now, once the hero kind of learns a bit more about the new world they're in, they have to then travel through what's called the Road of Trials. This is where they are met with even greater obstacles and being kept from what they think they need. This is where the story usually ramps up a bit, and in this case, we're going to call that the sequence for Meet Me Inside, because this is where Alexander is stripped of his post with Washington, which in his mind would be really cutting him off from what he wants his future to be.
We don't need a legacy. We don't need money.
Up to the 7th step of the hero's journey. This is called Meeting with the Goddess. And in this step, this is when the hero is given a gift of some kind, given something that will help them achieve their goal, that will help them move forward to the next step of their journey. So in this case, we're going to call that when Eliza announces that she's pregnant, because that could be another way for Hamilton to have a legacy, is to have his family, and she's trying to tell him there's another way to have a happy life. So that's going to be step 7.
History has its eyes.
Now, step 8 is the temptation, and we're going to not use the one you might be thinking of, which would be the Reynolds situation. This is actually going to be the temptation of, again, the temptation of a legacy. This is going to be when history has its eyes on you, when George Washington really lays it on Hamilton that this is his moment. And the temptation here, again, is pulling Hamilton from what he thought was one solution, his family, and pulling him back into his desire for glory.
My father wasn't around. Swear that I'll be around for you.
Next up is called Atonement with the Father, and this is where the character finds some sort of peace about something that they had struggled with in the first half of the story. Here is going to be from Dear Theodosia, when again Hamilton steps back and sees his son, and Burr sees his daughter, and the sense of family kind of helps bring them some relief now that the war is over, and it seems to be kind of a calming of the storm, but we know that things are about to then pick up in the second half.
Now place your bets as to who that benefits. The very seat of government where Hamilton sits.
Not true.
Ooh.
Right, step 10 is called Apotheosis. That's a fancy word for evolution, or stepping up to the level of a deity. So in this step, this is when the hero has to find some new power within themselves. They realize that they're still not quite where they need to be, and they have to go to the next level. And so here, this would be when Hamilton and Jefferson begin to have their arguments in cabinet battle number 1, we're going to call that. And Hamilton realizes that now being in charge is going to be a lot harder than he thought it was going to be.
You got more than you gave.
And I wanted what I got.
Step 11 is the ultimate boon. This is when the hero reaches one of their major goals. This is the height of their particular, what they perceive their journey to be, although it starts the falling action usually in the story. So in this case, the boon for Hamilton would be his bank in the room where it happens. He reaches something that he's been fighting for, and in his mind, this is his ultimate goal. This is his legacy finally being built.
You have to serve.
You could continue to serve.
No.
Step 12 in the hero journey is called the Refusal of the Return. This is when the hero, having achieved a goal, something very important to him, then is being given the chance to return back to his normal world, and is refusing to do so. Here that would be when Washington has to convince Hamilton to write his resignation letter, his speech, in one last time, and Hamilton is very reluctant to do so. So that's the refusal of the return, the refusal to give up these positions of power that they're in.
This is the eye of the hurricane. This is the only way I can protect my legacy.
The next step is the magic flight. This is when the hero is finally drawn away from the new world and back towards the ordinary world, and usually is being chased by new obstacles along the way. So here we're going to call this the moment of the hurricane, where Hamilton is torpedoing his public career to try and save part of his legacy, and throwing everything into a tumult, and really now being forced to come back to just being a private figure.
Forgiveness. Can you imagine?
Next up is called the Rescue from Without. This is where the hero, now somewhere along the way on his attempt to return back to the ordinary world, needs to be given some final bit of assistance, a final step up, either some sort of gift or being told a new way to use the gift he already has. And so here is when, in Quiet Uptown, when Eliza reaches out and grabs his hand and repairs their family, and he is now back in her good graces and in his mind ready to just settle down and live a quiet life again.
The people are asking to hear my voice. The country is facing a difficult choice.
The next step, as we really are ramping up the falling action of the story, is the crossover the return threshold. This is when the hero, they can have to now make a decision: do they finally take that last step over, return to their ordinary life, or make the decision to turn back around and start a new path. So in here, this is then in the election of 1800, when Hamilton is drawn back into being a public figure by being asked to make his recommendation, to be given his commendation for who should get the vote, and that then sets off the final act of his lifetime.
What is a legacy? It's planting seeds in a garden you never get to see.
The penultimate step in the hero's journey is called the Master of Two Worlds. This is when the hero has to find some level of peace within themselves now, consolidating who they were before with who they are now, resolving their internal conflict, or making peace with something back at home. So this is represented in Hamilton by the fact that he throws a shot away. He makes peace with his self, decides that he's not gonna fire at Burr, and so he consolidates his need for greatness with his kind of sense of humanity and lets it go.
Who keeps your flame? Who tells your story? Who tells your story?
And the final step number 17 in Campbell's hero journey, is called the freedom to live. And ironically enough, this is the step in which Hamilton has passed away, but he is now free to exist as just a legacy of great thought, and as the inventor of the bank and all of these things, as no longer having to struggle. So in this case, the freedom to live is when he passes away and becomes just a legend, or just a thought, a founding father. And so those were the steps of Joseph Campbell's hero journey as illustrated by the show Hamilton. Let me know down in the comments if that all made sense, and if you'd like to see me break down other shows in such a manner, so you can see how things kind of fit, how structure sort of works. I think it's kind of fun and interesting. So again, if you want to let me know down in the comments any shows that you would like to see a breakdown in a similar fashion. But as for this video, thanks for watching, and remember to like, subscribe, and share with the Hamilton fan in your life. And until next time, peace and all good.